In a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit. Not a nasty, dirty, wet hole filled with the ends of worms and an oozy smell, nor yet a dry, bare, sandy hole with nothing in it to sit down on or to eat. It was a hobbit hole, and that means comfort. Welcome to Hobbit Madness! Yes! Hello everyone, welcome back to Monday Madness with Bilbo Baggins and Galadriel of Lothlorien. Yes, because that's the only woman in Lord of the Rings.
Yes, apparently.
No, it isn't, but there's not many, Jeannine. There's not many prominent females in the stories of Middle-earth, rather unfortunately. But hello, welcome back to Monday Madness. Morgan and the machine here, of course.
Hello.
Excitement. I'm feeling very excited in all things Middle-earth related, Jeannine, and I think this episode it's pretty clear to see why. I think we're doing a Middle-earth centric episode today.
Most definitely, and I will take that Galadriel comparison.
Well, yes, but I could have called you Gaffer Gamgee, but that would have been really offensive, as you're not an old, fat hobbit.
Well, appreciate that. Thank you.
You are a beautiful, glorious elven woman.
Appreciated.
Obviously. Right. Anyway, hello. What are we doing? What are we doing? I don't know what we're doing. It's exciting. We're here. It's Monday Madness, as it always is, Jeannine. But we have plenty of stuff to talk about. Not least of which is that new trailer for The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, the new Amazon Prime series that we're not getting into yet because we have some other things we want to talk about before. Don't we, Jeannine? Is it about time I ask my question that I forgot to ask last week?
Yes, it is.
Well, so, Jeannine, so...
a couple things are so, Morgan.
Okay.
Some, I guess, horror type news. You know, we love horror over here, so we have to talk about things that happen in that realm. We got a trailer for the Munsters, Rob Zombie's The Munsters movie.
Yes, we did.
So what were your thoughts on the trailer?
What are my thoughts on Rob Zombie's The Munsters trailer? Well, let's ask ourselves the question first of, do we enjoy the Munsters from what we have seen? I mean, I'm not an avid viewer of the Munsters. I have seen it here and there and have enjoyed it to a point when I've seen it. Admittedly, I'm way more into the Addams Family as far as mid-60s horror comedy families go, you know?
Yes.
But are you a fan of the Munsters?
I think I'm kind of in the same boat as you, where, you know, I was aware of them. Episodes I'd seen, they were cute and, you know, fun for the time, and but not any kind of hardcore fan. So this wasn't like my franchise I was worried was going to get, you know, ruined. Or yes, I wasn't like picketing outside. You know,
outside Rob Zombie's house
yes,
with a picture of Herman Munster going, "What are you doing?"
Yes.
No, not my Herman.
not my Munsters. Iconic theme song, you know.
It does, yes, it does.
The iconic theme music. So, yeah, I was interested to see how this was going to look. I haven't been the biggest fan of Rob Zombie's, you know, other films. So I was curious to kind of see a comedic, kind of silly take from him. And I think it was a little too silly. It just looked, I don't know if it was going for this kind of cheapy look.
It does look cheapy, doesn't it? It does
so
look
I don't know
like...
if that's that's purposeful, but it just looks very goofy and not in a fun, campy way. It's not like the silliness and kind of cheapiness of like a wet hot American summer. Like that's what
No.
if we were gonna get, an update on the Munsters, I would think kind of in that vein, you know? And it's an IP that's familiar but not kind of super popular. Uh but there is a way to reinvent them. I mean, I was not this huge kind of Addams Family TV shows, fan. I was aware of it. I enjoyed episodes I saw here and they're just like this, but I absolutely love those movies and how they were able to kind
Mm.
of bring these characters into the modern time and still have them feel very much like, their TV versions. Um and the characters looked great and the stories were very kind of fun and silly and really kept the heart of what the show was about. This just looks so goofy, like a fan made thing or like, a TV show. Uh,
I think
so I don't
what I
know
was going to say,
if that's the essence he's going for is to make it feel like a TV show since it's based off a TV show. But I was expecting like a fun, goofy, campy type vibe, and this just
yeah,
looks goofy, but not in a good way.
y- I think ultimately it is a fan-made movie because I think Rob Zombie is a massive fan of the Munsters, otherwise
Yeah,
he wouldn't be doing it. And I think that's actually the reason he is doing it, because it does seem a complete detraction from the rest of his entire film output,
yeah,
really, doesn't it?
yes,
Um,
definitely.
and it is, but I do agree with you, is that it does look like a Halloween episode of a Disney Channel television show.
Yes.
And I'm not really sure why it looks like that. It's more confusing than anything else, this trailer, because I
Like
was
the silly jokes aren't
expecting.
landing and
I
nothing was
know,
funny in there. Like,
I know it's hard to almost not compare it to Adam's Family, because I think Monsters always gets compared to Adam's
yeah,
Family, and kind of not rightly so, but logically so, because I think the Monsters was made as a like an alternative to Adam's Family in the first place, wasn't it?
I
Kind
want
of
to
like,
say Adam's Family probably came first, but I couldn't speak
well, yeah, no, that's what I mean.
of
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
that's what I mean. So the Adams Family came first, and I think the Monsters was made as an alternative to that. I
yeah.
think I'm not entirely sure whether that's the case, but maybe I've heard that somewhere, or that's just what I've always kind of assumed. But so I know the Adams Family to be a little bit more, I suppose, a little bit darker. I know it's obviously still comedic,
Yeah.
but a little bit darker than the Munsters is. I know the Munsters is supposed to be a little bit more on the goofy side, but I do agree with you. I think this trailer's taking it to the absolute extreme,
Yeah.
and not all the time in a good way. And I was quite intrigued about this project, really, about this,
Yeah.
Rob Zombie Monsters thing happening.
Yeah.
And I think this trailer's killed any intrigue I had. There's no way I'm paying money to see this. This just looks
No. Like
ridiculous.
I can't stop
And
saying the
like you
word
said,
goofy. It just
not the good ridiculous.
yeah.
Because there is a
Yeah.
good ridiculous out there. There's a
Yes.
good goofy out there. There's great stupid movies out there. I don't
Mm,
think this is
and
going to be
this
one
just
of them.
looks stupid. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm going to be really surprised if this pulls off as being supposedly decent,
Yeah.
because
But I
I
mean,
really don't see it being.
if this is a passion project for him and he was excited to make it, then
Yeah.
good for
See,
him.
this
Then it's
that's
great.
what
But I just
that's
not for
what
me.
keeps me that's what keeps the shred of hope alive,
Yeah.
because it is a passion project for him. He cares a great deal about this particular brand of the Munsters.
Yeah.
And Grandpa Monster, I think, is actually the best looking out of the three of them that we see in the trailer.
Yeah.
Um,
I'd agree with
I
that.
think Herman Monster looks absolutely absurd, to be honest with you, compared to Herman Munster from the 60s, who, with his makeup off, actually still looks
Looks
like
kind of like, yeah.
a Frankenstein's monster. I don't think this dude playing Herman here, I think he's probably quite pretty underneath the makeup, And I
Yeah.
don't think you can
So it
have something
feels
like
like
that.
makeup. Yeah.
It feels like makeup. It feels weird. And look, Sherry Moon Zombie has to be there as Lily Munster, and I'm sure she'll do a perfectly enjoyable job, because I do find her quite enjoyable in his movies. Because I just think she's allowed to just do whatever the hell she wants and have fun.
Yeah.
And that always seems to come across for me. But I have no faith in Herman Munster in particular. And the movie does just... I'm not quite sure what it's really about, other than
Yeah, like,
here's
it
the
looks like
monsters.
she's trying to date somebody, so that's how she finds Herman, and I
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I don't know.
It's...
It looks very kind of just cheapy and silly and not in a fun way, just in a very corny, cheapy way. I don't I don't know, just
there's no other ways of describing it, really, because to describe it in other ways wouldn't be accurate, because
yes, and I
those are
mean,
the
there's
only
good like we
accurate
said,
ways.
there are good and fun ways to do that, to still go with this kind of like B movie, made for TV kind of kitschy, campy style and have it just be fun and and just embrace that and know that that's what you're doing and make that kind of stand out as unique compared to other movies. But this just looks like maybe that's what it was trying to do, but it doesn't look like it's succeeding based off of what we were shown. So I don't know.
No, no, I don't know either, Janine, but I do think there is another bit of horror-related news that we are actually excited about. Would it be fair to say?
Yes. So we got some Scream 6 casting news, and there was also a potential spoiler of what the title of the next Scream movie is going to be called.
What is this
Um,
potential spoiler of the title, Janine?
so apparently the girl who played Sam, she her fiance or boyfriend or somebody like took a picture on set. Like they're all kind
How were
of
they
under
allowed to do such a thing?
well, I guess the cast is like under really strict orders to not leak anything, post anything, but I guess her boyfriend, whatever, I guess he snapped a picture of one of the
Did they
chairs.
not have to check the phone in or something like that?
I don't know, but he snapped a picture of one of the chairs, like the crew chairs, the cast chairs, and on the back it says "Scream" with like two slashes at the end. So at first you could think it's just "Scream 2" with two slashy twos. So now we have two Screams and two Scream 2s. Um, but in kind of we have our people who zoom and enhance. It looks to be like it's called "Scream" with two exclamation points. So,
Say it
which is
again. Say it again for us.
scream. I mean, most movies with
Oh dear.
punctuation. I mean, I don't think we ever really say the punctuation. I mean, when you talk about Oliver, are you just like, I'm watching Oliver? Like, is that, what about Buff? Like, I mean, so I mean, I guess it's
Oh,
two exclamations to look like the two in Scream 2, but it's still called Scream, so now there's 3 movies called Scream.
I do think didn't
So I don't
didn't
know how true
Shazam
this
have
is.
one as well? Didn't Shazam have an exclamation mark?
Yes, I believe it did, I wanna say. I mean, if it
I
didn't,
always
that's a shame.
I always think punctuation in titles like that is
I'm
just a bit
looking right now.
strange. Like,
Well,
why are
because it's
you
like when you're
putting an exclamation mark in there? I
because it
don't
only
know.
works yes, it is Shazam! Exclamation point.
Shazam!
Yes, which I get, but it's
It
like
does
when
at
you're
least make sense for that movie, yes, because that
yes.
is what he says.
Yes, and he always does say it with kind of an exclamation.
But you are
Um,
right. Scream doesn't really make. It's just like, oh yeah, we're screaming now. Scream.
Yeah, and you're talking about it, it's essentially still called Scream, so now there's 3 movies called Scream. So yes, I don't know how true this is, I don't know if they, like, now that that's kind of been out, they're gonna change the name. I think it's kinda dumb, but I love these movies and I love this
You
franchise,
do.
so, I can get behind that, so
You do.
but yeah,
As for
so
the
we'll see.
casting,
Yes. So I think a lot of people were expecting this person to eventually join a Scream movie because the director's Radio Silence, had her kind of have a big breakout in Ready or Not. Samara Weaving has been cast in
yeah.
this new Scream movie. So
Who
I'm
is
excited to.
becoming quite the horror staple herself,
Yes, Ready
it
or
has
Not
to
was
be said.
great. She did this really fun movie, Mayhem. Uh, where she was kind of having to kind of kill her way through this office building. It was a lot of fun and kind of hyper and intense, and she was great in that movie. So, yeah, I really like Samara Weaving. So I'm really excited for her to join this cast. Really kind of curious to see how she fits in, and also Tony Revolori from the Spider-Man movies, and uh, yeah, Flash Thompson will be joining the
I'm
cast as well. So.
I'm just mostly excited just to see how much more jokey they can possibly get with the references. Can it get any more so than Scream 5 or
You
Scream
mean,
or
can it
whatever
get
we're
even
calling
more
it?
meta? I'm sure they will
Can it
try.
though? Can it though? Because my God, it got ridiculous in Scream 5 sometimes, didn't it? It was a
It
little bit.
did.
I
I
think
mean,
the only thing they can possibly do now is actually make the stab movies.
essentially, so maybe they'll go to space
S-
or
stab
have
in space,
time
screaming ghost
travel.
space in
Yeah,
space.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the first ones would like followed the Scream stories, like the actual like Woodsboro murder stories, and then they just started adding stuff like time travel. So, um, yeah, I don't know. Either way, I'm excited. I love this franchise. I can criticize it and still love the hell out of it and have so much fun with it. So no matter what they do, I'm
Is
probably
is
going to be on board.
Williamson on
But
board again? Is Kevin Williamson on board again for this one?
I would hope that he's on there as producer, and that's kind of really what had me behind Scream 5 was that he was still involved in some way and that they didn't want to do it without him.
No.
Because he was already kind of like in the mindset that he didn't want to do it without Wes and that, it wasn't going to continue without Wes, but kind of meeting them and hearing their pitch really kind of made him see that they really respected what Wes had done and they really wanted to um, pay, homage to that and pay a lot of respect to that. So, I like the hands that this franchise is in. Um, were there some weird choices in Scream 5? Yes, but I think it definitely stuck to what these movies have been. Um, so I appreciate that, and I'm excited to see what happens with 6. I like Tony Revolori, I like Samara Weaving, so I'm
Yeah.
really excited to see what they bring to this. We're getting a lot of new characters and some returning older characters, and all the back and forth rumors if Nev Campbell's in this movie. Maybe it is just a kind of
Mm.
a red herring situation to kind of throw people off the scent. So that they can actually have a surprise of her being in this movie, because a lot of things I think got
Who
revealed.
knows?
A lot of things got revealed that they didn't want revealed with Scream 5, like a little too soon. So I
Like
wouldn't be
what?
surprised
I
if
don't
they
know. I
played.
don't know that. I didn't know
Um,
that.
well, I think that's why they're so strict. I think people were just like they were more free to kind of post pictures of like outfits and things they were wearing and just
Okay.
stuff like
Okay.
that. Um, so that those things kind of came out. So it wasn't like anything huge, but just kind of enough that people could kind of speculate and but I
Not
think
like, look at, we just filmed Dewey's death scene.
yeah, yeah. Um
Like, what?
so I think this one they're being much more tight-lipped on the cast. So that's why it was kind of a big deal when that picture kind of came out of the chair and all that. So um
Okay.
I and even one of the actors, I think she did like a little Instagram video and she had like the camera so close to her face because she was like, yeah, I don't
Okay.
want you guys seeing my outfit and kind of, trying to make up theories and this and that. And she
Okay.
like joked that the title was going to be Scrissixum.
It's crazy. It should be. I like
Yeah.
that.
So of course she's like, of course this movie's gonna be called Scorsese. But
It should be. Just
yeah,
put the 6 in place of the A.
yeah,
Works. You did it with
exactly.
4. Did
I
you do it
know.
with 4? Is that what happened with 4?
Yes, the 4 was the A. And
And then the
everyone
E
wanted
was
the
5. Was the E 5 in this one, or was it just
No,
Scream? No, it was just Scream, wasn't it?
everyone was calling it 5 cream because they thought, "Let's just make the 5 the
5
S." So,
Cream.
there's a running joke that it's called 5 cream because, yeah, you could have easily just put the 5 as the S in the front. So, everyone,
You
like,
could.
was these so, yeah, it is 5 cream is a running joke, but they just called it Scream. So,
Yeah.
yes. So, I mean, yes, for 6 they could put 6 just randomly in there.
They should do.
But,
They should do. And
yeah.
I think if we're being honest and judging the actors based on what we know them to be kind of best at, Tony Revolori's definitely going to be Ghostface. And Samara Weaving's definitely going to be the final girl.
Oh, okay.
If we're just putting the actors on what we know they're good at, who's the slightly goofy, slightly witty one who's definitely able to probably murder someone, Tony Revolori, in most of his roles.
Yeah.
And then who plays a good final girl, Samara
Are
Weaving.
weaving. But then there could be a twist. Maybe
But then
they're
it could be the complete opposite, and maybe Tony
they're
Revolori's there as the
he's
final girl.
he's your final dude. So I don't know. I'm excited to see what they do. They're both great actors. They both have great comedic timing. So
Yes, they do.
yeah,
Yes, they
yeah.
do.
I think they'll fit in quite well with this cast. So I'm really excited for anything Scream. So that was some fun news to hear.
You know there's going to be
Um,
upwards of 10 Scream movies, don't you, by the end of it?
I mean, potentially, yeah.
When we all thought there'd just be 3.
Yeah.
They brought it back, and then they brought it back again, and now they're not going anywhere because they've got a whole new fresh cast.
Yes.
And
Fresh
it's just
meat.
constantly just, oh, Ghostface.
Well, I
oh,
wouldn't be
Ghostface,
opposed to
let's
Scream
put some
going on. I
jokes
mean,
in.
at this point, I think there's there's 8 stab movies, so they have to just go to 8. Like
They should just
have
make a
to.
stab. They need to just make a real stab movie.
But I mean, if you
This is
look at
what
the
I'm saying.
casting for Stab, it doesn't quite work.
I know it doesn't work.
I mean, you have Vince Vaughn was apparently Stu. If you,
But is everybody who was in the first Stab movie as a real actor still alive and acting and
I mean, they
well?
are, but the guy who played Randy in these movies, he's obviously was not an adult person or a teenage person, you know, when the Scream movies came out to play, but they still have him, like, his real name is in the cast list as Randy, but he obviously wasn't acting like, around the time that Vince Vaughn and Alicia Silverstone was Tatum
No,
apparently, and stuff like that.
no, but this is what I'm saying though, is we just bring everybody back who was supposedly in the first Stab and just make a real Stab movie, regardless of how old they are.
I mean, you could, because I
I
really
think you
I
could
saw
do that.
I saw that little clip of the cast list, and I was like, that's really fun.
I think you could definitely do that.
Yeah.
I'd be down for that. But no, it is quite exciting, and I was a fan of Scream 5 anyway. So yeah,
Yes.
I'll be there for Scream 6. Don't you worry about that one little bit. Jeannine, we haven't actually talked anything about Middle Earth in our supposedly Middle Earth
Well,
episode
here we go.
yet. Here
So
we
then
go
there was a
indeed.
new
Actually,
trailer.
or maybe here we go not indeed, because there was more. Let's call it the Rings of Power's big rival, shall we call it?
Oh,
In the
yes.
next couple of months, all you're gonna hear is Rings of Power versus House of the Dragon. Which
Yes,
one
and
wins? Dragons or dragons? Are there going to be
essentially.
dragons in the Rings of Power? I
I
think
mean,
so.
maybe.
Oh, no, there will be, because it'll be like what's his face? What's he called? Ancalagon? Is that a Middle Earth dragon? Think so.
You're
I
asking the
think that's a
wrong
Middle Earth
person.
dragon.
um, but what I'm seeing, I think when I went to look at the trailer and kind of seeing reactions, apparently there's kind of some negativity towards this Rings of Power show. People are actually making a comparison to Game of Thrones, kind of calling it a knockoff wannabe version of Game of Thrones, that it's throwing a lot of the source material out, that they feel like the director of the show is being very arrogant and trying to change. How dare you think that your ideas are better than the works of Tolkien? And so
Hold on
while
a
there
minute.
probably aren't any Munsters gatekeepers, there are several Lord of the
There
Rings
are.
gatekeepers.
Yes,
So,
there are. But there are
just
also
I don't know if that's the
many.
full consensus, but just in looking up trailer reactions, most of them were like people complaining about how they think it looks terrible. So, I don't
Okay.
know.
Okay. What I will say, because I did actually just want to bring up your. Are you excited for House of the Dragon and all that sort of stuff? But we can. I'll just finish what I was saying here. Yes, okay, we're going to get gatekeepers, and yes, okay, there are, of course, Tolkien gatekeepers, but Ginny, there are also literally qualified Tolkien experts that were literally working on this show. And all of Tolkien's writings don't go into this much detail about the Second Age. This show is the Second Age of Middle-earth. You get basic kind of, this happened, this happened, this happened, but what this show's going to do is expand on that. So yes, you're going to get fresh things in there that you might be thinking, well, that wasn't in there. Well, no, it
Yeah,
wasn't
because
in
it
there because
probably
he never
wasn't that
wrote
fleshed
anything
out.
about it.
Yes. So there is kind of some freedom to
There's massive
interpret
freedom.
interpret things
And if you think,
that we haven't seen.
if you honestly think the Tolkien estate is going to let them do something that just goes entirely against the themes and the world of Tolkien's writings of Middle Earth, of all of it, you're an idiot, really. If you actually think they're going to let them create something or let them start to create something. And let's not forget, this show's been in the works for how many years?
Yeah.
A
Like what?
ridiculously long
About 4
time
years, I think.
for
Uh
a season of a television show.
yeah.
You know,
So, I mean, I can't speak on the accuracy of things. I know that I think it looks good. I think it looks very cinematic. Um it feels like Obi-Wan in the sense that we're just seeing, we kind of know where we are. We know how, we know where we end up. But kind of seeing these little nuggets of time that weren't fleshed out for us, that we didn't get to see a lot of or see at
yeah.
all, kind of getting to see those moments, I think is a really cool idea.
And that's what it
So,
is. Like, no, I'm no Tolkien expert at all. I have read The Hobbit, I have read The Lord of the Rings. I'm a big fan of them, and I'm a big fan of the movies. But my Tolkien knowledge doesn't go massively deep. Little bit, okay, but not massively to the point where I don't think it even goes as deep as my Game of Thrones, my, Song of Ice and Fire knowledge
yeah.
does. It certainly doesn't go anywhere near as deep as stuff like Harry Potter for
Yeah.
me. But what I got from this trailer was the feel of the Lord of the Rings movies. And I think that was important in creating the cinematic feel of them whilst being separate and different. You're going to get comparisons to them. You
Yeah.
cannot avoid getting comparisons to them. But the wonderful thing they've done is they're telling a story over centuries of in-world events throughout this series,
Yeah.
supposedly that's what they're doing, over the Second Age, which has freedom of storytelling within it. Yes, you're going to need to keep your events in there and your people doing certain things in there. That is written
That
down
leads
by
up to
Tolkien.
yeah, that leads into things that Tolkien wrote, but, yeah, like,
Yes.
people are complaining about, "Oh, Galadriel, she was not this sword-wielding warrior, she, is a sorceress, and she had m magic, so she didn't need to be doing all this fighting, and so I don't like this reinterpretation of this character," so I'm seeing a lot of things like that, and
Now, admittedly, I don't know what Galadriel was necessarily up to in the Second Age, according
yeah,
to Tolkien. I don't even know if he wrote anything about Galadriel in the Second Age, personally. All I do know is that I'm into what I'm seeing from Galadriel in this trailer.
yeah.
That scene with her and young Elrond, and I like young Elrond because it's the same dude who played young Ned Stark in Game of Thrones. So I like this scene between the two of them. It's like, you have not seen what I have seen. So you get the Galadriel kind of seeing the mirror
Yeah,
of Galadriel and all this business. You get that in there, and you're seeing this red destruction and of course it's all about massive good and evil, isn't it? Middle Earth, it's absolute pure good and evil.
yes.
This is the thing. This is the thing with it. It is an ideal versus the corruption of that ideal. That is the stories of Tolkien. That is Middle Earth. Tolkien himself, considered himself a hobbit because he just wanted to sit there, eat, smoke, and wander around a bit.
Yes.
And he
Put
liked
around in his
plants,
garden and yeah.
you know,
So yeah, I
and that
feel
was
like
life. That was life. There's no like a fascinating thing to me that I only actually realized after having read the books, and it took me a hell of a long time to read the books. I've only recently, I'd say in the last year, actually read all the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit book.
okay.
There's no currency in Middle Earth. There's no money. There's no way of paying for things. You just do things for people
Yeah, it sounds like Star
if they
Trek.
are good people,
Yeah.
and don't do them if they are bad people.
Yeah.
There's no corruption, and it's about the fear of corruption. This is what Sauron's all about, and all this. But before Sauron, we're getting Morgoth and people who we're going to get in this. Why does Numenor fall? The events that we're going to see in this Rings of Power show, the rings themselves, being greed, being that embodiment of greed, that
And yeah,
one
hunger for
inanimate
power and
object,
yeah,
yes, that can
corrupt
corrupt
and
people's
yeah.
minds. And we're going to see how that plays out. It's going to be enormously scaled,
It looks
and
based off this trailer, it looks very cinematic.
but it looks beautiful as well. It looks visually unbelievable, and I mean not just down to the actual cinematography of it, but the
Mhm.
effects of it that you're seeing here look outstanding.
Yeah.
The prosthetics and the makeup, like, we know this from Lord of the Rings, the Lord of the Rings movies. I think the Hobbit movies were trying other things, but I still think the makeup and that sort of stuff in the Hobbit, the actual physical makeup, they were
Yeah.
just trying to over CGI things, and they did that weird 60 frames per second thing with the movies that they shouldn't have done uh, at all, and they just look strange. But the actual makeup of them, that's all the same. So you're getting that absolutely perfect looking, like dwarf, Middle Earth
Yeah.
dwarf, who just looks. I don't know the names of these people. I haven't read massively into it because I'm more than willing to go into this knowing little about what's
Well, I
going
mean,
on.
that's generally me in when I first watch these movies, and I think I only watched the Lord of the Rings movies maybe like 3 years ago, 2 years ago. So yeah, I'm definitely still kind of new to this world, and again, like Munsters, I'm not very gatekeeping on Lord of the Rings and Middle
No,
Earth. So I'm curious to see, where it goes, and there
no,
may be people
should
that
be at
know
all, though,
more
should
about
we?
what this story is supposed to be, but from what I understand, there's a lot that wasn't written that they are kind of taking liberties with because it is it it is depicting moments that were not written about or that we didn't see in
Yeah,
a movie or in a flashback or something. So there
exactly.
are those opportunities to take those liberties, but if you know that they're still trying to keep the core to have whatever is happening lead to what we do know, what we have read and what we have seen, then I'm able to kind of put some trust in that. That, obviously they're paying
100%.
attention to what comes after. So they're gonna make what came before that we didn't see or read make sense to that.
100%. And like I say, there are actual, you can do literal degrees in Tolkien that these people were employed on this show to make sure, yeah, that's right.
That
And
everything
like,
was accurate.
well, we'll
Yeah.
have to change that. And like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's, if you can't trust anybody, you can trust those people, you know?
Yeah.
I think we can trust those people. The most appropriately, legitimately qualified, which sounds ridiculous to say, but it's true that this
Yes.
exists. People who can actually tell you whether what you're putting in your new Middle Earth show is appropriate or not.
Yeah.
And ultimately, when it comes to like gatekeeping and stuff like that, I despise it in general because, like, even with the stuff I love so much, I'm not like that because these people have spent so long fighting to make this particular television show about this particular time in this
Yeah.
particular already established world, which means you have to have conversations, legal conversations, with people who actually own the rights to that specific world.
Yeah.
Fight to make that world. They have fought for so long to make this. They have put every bit of their blood, sweat, and tears into making this. We know this more so with this Rings of Power because it's taken so damn long to make. And because we know they've kept it under such good wraps. We know absolutely nothing about this until they tell us. Nothing. There's no leaks whatsoever come from that, have they? Over the
Yeah.
past 4 years? Nothing
Yes.
at all.
And for me,
The
someone who like I said, is not like this huge kind of fan of I enjoy the movies and like I know very little about this world. I'm even, after seeing that trailer, I'm excited to see this story and what's going on with that. So
Yeah. And I like like the Harfoots, the hobbit-like people.
yeah,
Who I don't actually think are hobbits, but I think they might be like proto-hobbits, like the evolution before hobbits.
okay,
Almost. I think that's what they're supposed to be. I'm gonna have to do my
research.
in-depth research on
Yeah.
there's a really good YouTube channel, In Deep Geek. He does Tolkien stuff and Song of Ice and Fire stuff. He's outstanding at it, really.
Okay.
He goes into phenomenal detail about things. I've never come across anybody who is so knowledgeable on both so equally.
Yeah.
It's I would recommend checking him out. But so he's gonna be my main guy for Rings of Power discussion, I think, going to, after watching, I should say, after shows and pre-shows and all that kind of business.
Yeah.
Well, unless I just talk about it here, in which case this is obviously going to be
I
my
mean, we
go-to
could do
show.
that.
Could do that. We could do that. Or something like that, I suppose. Although I'd be more confident in doing it on House of the Dragon, to be perfectly honest with you.
Okay. I mean,
Um,
we could do all of it.
we could do all of it. Who knows? We could do everything. But no, in terms of gatekeepers, how the hell do you, as just a fan, have the right to go, that was right, that was wrong, you shouldn't be doing this, when you've not spent an inordinate amount of time of your life fighting to make something you are clearly very passionate about making? Like, this is their time to tell this story in the way they want to. If they want to add a little bit of something that you might not have added, let them do it, because it
Yeah, but
ain't
I mean,
yours.
but then also just to equate that to like what we were saying with the Munsters, like obviously this is, you know, a passion project for Rob Zombie, something that he's excited and probably
Exactly.
has put a lot into. But what I was shown from that did not kind of translate for me.
Precisely. The
So for
actual
this,
fact
it's the
he's made
same
it
kind of, yeah,
isn't a problem at all. The fact Rob
no.
Zombie's made this Monsters show, I'm like, fair enough, Rob. This is wonderful for you. Just because I think it looks dreadful doesn't mean he's got any less of a right to do it.
Yes, but I literally am hearing commentary about how the director is just kind of thinks he's, you know, so arrogant to think he can change the works of Tolkien and that
I don't
his
think he is
ideas are
changing
better
the
than that.
work. I don't think they are changing the works of
Yeah,
Tolkien, though,
I
are
think
they?
they're taking liberties with things that were not written about, that were not shown, and trying to make that work into kind of the bones of what we know, the bones of
Yeah.
knowing where we end up, and kind of working within that framework, which is kind of how I saw it. So,
And
yeah, I don't
ultimately,
know. It
you
was just
know,
weird, kind of in looking up this trailer and seeing reactions to it. A lot of kind of Tolkien fans and Lord of the Rings fans were just kind of bashing it, and I'm just like, I think
yeah.
this looks cinematic. Like they're calling it like a Game of Thrones knockoff, and these stories don't relate to what you know what's written and all. So like, I mean, I can't speak to those things, but I just know that watching that trailer, I enjoyed it, and I'm excited for the show. So
I just really don't get this Game of Thrones knockoff. Not only does it look nothing like Game of Thrones, like we just seeing people in armor and horses and just
I'm
thinking
just
Game of
assuming,
Thrones now.
okay, yeah, I guess.
It looks absolutely nothing like Game of Thrones. Middle Earth is absurdly more magical
Yeah.
than Game of Thrones kind of ever was. I know A Song of Ice and Fire has plenty of magic in it. I know that, but Middle Earth is, well, Middle Earth has real gods, and all of A Song of Ice and Fire's gods are definitely fake. Well, some are real. I don't know. R'hllor's always seemed quite real to me in terms of A Song of Ice and Fire. You know, the Lord of Light, as he's
Yeah.
more known as. Anyway, let's not start talking about religions and the basis between A Song of Ice and Fire
Yeah.
and Middle Earth. That would get really messy really quickly, and I am not enough of an expert to even say anything confidently on that sort of stuff. All I know is that it doesn't look anything like Game of Thrones. It looks like Middle Earth to me, and you're
Yeah.
getting our two big heroic leads, I suppose, are going to be Elrond and Galadriel.
Yeah.
Who I'm just really excited to see these two play these roles. Who on screen we are so used to, you know, when we think of Elrond, oh, it's Hugo Weaving. How
Hugo
are you going
Weaving and
to
yeah.
do this younger, perhaps more brash version of Elrond? And
Yeah.
Galadriel, oh, it's ethereal-looking Kate Blanchett. Alternatively, it is you, Jeannine. But how are we going to? And this is, I think this is the fascinating thing, and this is the great thing. Also, I suppose on my mind, the ignorant thing is that I don't even know these people's names who are playing these roles. What are they called? What are these actors called? I've got
Yeah.
no idea. I don't want to know.
You
I
don't want
don't
to know? You
want
just
to
want to
know.
go and just have them be these characters.
But the lady who's playing Galadriel, I just think is going to be unbelievable. I
Yeah.
have so much faith in her. I really do. I have a great deal of faith in this show. Quite similarly to, I actually have a great deal of faith in House of the Dragon as well.
I
And I
mean,
do want
I
to get
think
a
we're
little
all
bit into it. I do want to
I
get a
think
little bit into it, Jeannine.
I think we were all a little bit scared and we are scared and optimistic. We were very
Do you know why
cautiously
we shouldn't
optimistic,
be? Do you know why we
dipping a
shouldn't
toe. But
be?
I think just even with the announcement of this show, I think most fans were cautiously optimistic to dip a toe back into this world after how
I
badly we were
wasn't.
burned.
Gimme,
most
gimme.
people. I mean, I think I was a bit cautiously optimistic. I felt very much hurt and burned by dragon fire by that
What
last
a
season.
clever joke.
Like, I think a lot of us felt kind of betrayed and hurt by what happened,
Yes,
and
and
it
I
kind of
look,
showed Benioff and Weiss to not be as creative as we thought they were,
it
because
did.
without source material as an outline, they fumbled the ball and couldn't create something on their own.
I still
So
attest to the actual events that happened in that season were not bad. The the
execution
pacing and the
just
execution was
was so
diabolical.
bad. Yes, it was terrible because and they were driving to so many interesting things, and the way they kind of got to those conclusions were just very sloppily handled. They had
Incredibly.
so many cool things they could have done, so many great redemptive, hopeful moments, so many like tragic moments that could have really hit a stronger emotional beat, and they just fumbled everything. So, I mean,
But
just with the announcement of a new kind of Game of Thrones kind of delving, I was hopeful that this could just, remind me of the seasons that were so good and the stories that I loved from the first part of the show. Um, but I was
do you
also
know
like,
why?
ugh.
Do you know why we should have faith in it? Because it's got an ending.
Yes, it does.
We know exactly how the
Where this
Dance of the
yeah,
Dragon ends. It's
yeah.
literally written. Let me get my copy of Fire and Blood out. Here it is. All the people watching, there's my copy of Fire and Blood. Within this book has the ending of the House of the Dragon show. It's written down. We've actually got writing. They can't possibly mess it up. It's there.
Yes. So I think if they're gonna go back, they're definitely showing very interesting story. Um,
Oh, it's
so I mean,
fascinating. It is
yeah. So as
absolutely
a non-book
fascinating.
reader, I'm excited to see that. But just kind of the mention of Morgan of Thrones was just kind of like, ooh, but okay, this is something we know where it's headed. We're going back in time. We're not trying to add anything back to it's not going to rectify this ending because it's a different story. It's a different thing. So definitely curious, definitely excited that we're kind of just separating it. It definitely is going to feel separated from
And
you
here's the
know.
difference. Here's the difference between, I suppose, Tolkien and George Martin is that the stories that you would tell, or the history of, Westeros, is ridiculously well detailed.
Yeah.
Like, there's no liberties to be had with so many things because it's in clear text. Whether it's in this book, it's in the World Book, it's in, you know, history of lineages and that kind
Yeah,
of thing.
there's like separate books even outlining separate elements of this world. So
It's ridiculous. It's not like Tolkien's, second age. Certainly Tolkien's first age, that's basically legend.
yeah,
Tolkien's second age is half legend at the point of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, you know?
yeah,
But, there's only a handful of characters who happen to be immortal who have seen it. And, with all they've seen, I'm sure they're able to misremember some things. I know Elrond's wise and Galadriel's, I want to say green seer, but that's Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
That's Song of Ice and Fire. What is Galadriel? Wizard. She's not. She's an elf, but she's just a sorcerer
Wizard.
elf. But she's not a
Yes.
wizard. Gandalf's not a wizard, though, is he, Jeannine? No. He's a Valar.
Oh.
Yes. He's actually an immortal being who
And-
only looks like a wizard in human form. That's
And
true.
Morgan, you're a nerd.
Shut up. Yes, okay, fair enough. But this is where my excitement of House of the Dragon comes in, because the entire story is mapped out in glorious, thick detail. I mean, this book isn't the entirety of the Dance with the Dragons. It is just a part of it.
Yeah.
Or I should say, the Dance of the Dragons is just a part of this book. But, oh my God, does the casting look great as well. Matt Smith as Daemon Targaryen, gimme it all. With his little dragon helmet in these photos he's got on. I love it. I love it so much. It's going to be great. And who is it who's playing? Is it Paddy Considine playing Viserys, King Viserys? Oh, it's just going to be so good. I know Olivia Cook's in it as well. So Mank proud there for Olivia Cook being in Game of Thrones, being in House of the Dragon. Is she Alicent Hightower? I think she's Alicent Hightower, older Alicent Hightower. Ooh, the High Towers are coming, Jeannine. We didn't see a lick of the High Towers in Game of Thrones, did we?
This means nothing to me. This means nothing to me.
It means things to me. It means things to me.
I can see that. I can
just be excited if you like dragons and you thought Game of Thrones could done with more than 3 dragons.
Yeah.
Get excited for early House of the Dragon. Maybe not later on when all the dragons die, but like there's literally like we're getting rid of all the dragons now. Kill kind of situation.
Yes.
But oh my God, is there going to be dragons? And I think it looks really good as well. From the little trailers we've got, I actually think it looks really very good. I never thought the effects were any problem in Game of Thrones, though, to be honest.
No.
I never thought they were any problem at all. Yeah. I thought very little was any problem with Game of Thrones. Simply the execution of that final season is the problem with Game of Thrones.
Yes.
It does not. It hurts. I still go back and watch. I'm still able to go back and watch episodes. I still more than willing to adore that world and everything it has to offer us.
Yeah, when it was good, it was great.
It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. But the world itself is something I am always more interested in anyway.
Yeah.
And what this is giving us is a on-screen version of a truly incredible story.
Yeah.
Of family interwars. All down to, do you know why it was? Do you know why it was, Jeannine, that the Dance of the Dragons came about? King Viserys II, he pronounced his daughter Rhaenyra as heir to the throne. The problem was Rhaenyra was his daughter and not his son. Now, just because Rhaenyra was older, this is why he pronounced her. But they always expect, it's the oldest son.
No, it's the son. Yeah.
So Viserys II went, no. It's Rhaenyra. And basically, Matt Smith, Rhaenyra, who I can't remember who's playing Rhaenyra. Fight, kill, dragon. Burn. Death, destruction, war. Tears the entire kingdoms apart, as you would imagine.
Yes.
Excitement, intrigue, intricacy. We're back. The fantasy, the great fantasy's back, Jeannine. the great fantasy is back with both of these shows, and oh my god, is it going to be a
Glorious.
August and September battle between
Yes.
the two of them? It really is, because I think House of the Dragon is August 21st, and
Yes.
Rings of Power is September the
September.
3rd.
Oh yeah, that's pretty close. So the one will be
So
going while the other one is
they
kind
will
of
both,
starting.
but they will both be going at the same time for some weeks.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be really, really
Magical.
very, very interesting.
Yes.
Full of magic, full of war as well. Full of war. But that's what we like in our fantasy media, I suppose, isn't it, Jeannine?
Yes.
Well, there we are for our What's Up segment, Jeannine. We have to, of course, get into, well, what may not end up being our main discussion even, because I don't think it will take us long, almost. No. But it is our Let's Talk discussion for this week's episode, because we have decided, Jeannine, because Middle-earth is good and we like Middle-earth, even though you yourself are a casual fan of Middle-earth. And I am not an expert by any stretch of the imagination. We have decided to compile our top 5 Middle-earth characters.
Yes.
So we've encompassed characters from The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. We could have gone into the books as well if we wanted. We've not gone history, because I don't know it that well, and you don't know it, Jeannine.
No,
so we haven't gone into the history. I can categorically say that all of my choices appear in The Lord of the Rings itself. And
mine do as well. I almost.
No, I'm not going to give them away. I'm not going to give them away because it's just blatantly obvious who I'm talking about now.
All of mine are from the original films. I almost put a Hobbit character into my top 5, but I thought about it and I was like, compared to these other characters, I don't think they are top 5 worthy, but they are definitely in my mind,
And I suppose it's fair to say that we are mostly going off movies, really.
Yes.
Aren't we?
Yes.
Well, Jeannine, would you like to start with your number 5?
Yes. So my number 5 is Arwen.
Arwen. Oh,
yes.
Exciting.
Yes.
Doesn't do anything in the book, Jeannine.
Well, I'm glad that the
I'll be honest with you.
That. While she's not in the movies as much as you think she would be, she's kind of more in the Fellowship, and then kind of just these Aragorn fantasies like the other films. What she's able to kind of do in the time that she has is really strong. So she kind of sweeps in and saves the day quite a few times, on top of just being gorgeous and good-hearted and intelligent. And so she encompasses so much power as a female character in these movies. And to use a little bit of time you have and be memorable and stand out, and that if you want him, come and claim him, is just so kick-ass. So I just love her for really making an impact in a little bit of time that we see her. And yeah, she's kind of just a badass female. As you said, there are not too many to look to. So yeah, she's definitely one of few, and she's a badass. So
and let's not forget, she's Aragorn loves her so much that she loves Aragorn so much that she's willing to give up
her whole
immortality.
Yeah, her whole fancy.
You have to choose. Well, what I suppose ridiculously impressive display of romance. Let's just say it's almost a magically legend display of romance, isn't it? Really, it's something you would only hear. Funnily enough, in Beren and Luthien, which is the great human and elf romance legend of Tolkien.
Oh.
And it's basically mirrored with Aragorn and Arwen. That's the point of
Okay.
it. Aragorn tells the story of Beren and Luthien to the hobbits at Weathertop, right before Frodo gets stabbed
Okay.
in the Fellowship. Yeah, well, he actually sings it, I think. Yeah. He doesn't sing it in Elvish, though, otherwise we wouldn't be able to understand what he was saying. But yeah, okay, Arwen. We spoke about gatekeeping, obviously, with Arwen. Back when the Lord of the Rings movies came out, people were mad that Arwen got to save Frodo, because did Arwen save Frodo in the book? No, did she? Hell, it was somebody else who I've now forgot the name of, who I don't think appears in the movie at all.
Oh, goodness.
What's his name? Is it like Gil-galad or something like that? No, it's not. The names in Lord of the Rings get very confusing to me as well. But it's not Arwen, I can tell you that. It's not Arwen. It's some dude elf.
Some dude elf. Okay, well,
It is.
I appreciate that it's Arwen and she's a badass and she kind of sweeps in and saves all these dudes.
But you don't think people were complaining about that in 2001? Of course they were. But do we care now? No, because the movie's great. So shut up, gatekeepers. That's all I'm going to say.
Yes.
That is all I'm going to say to that. This is pointless to think about that, because it matters not, and in fact adds to things. Yes. So yes, I like that, Jeannine. And my number 5 is a silly choice, but it's because I really like him, and I just feel like if there's 2 characters in the whole of The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit that encompass me the most, I think one of them is Treebeard.
Of course you put Treebeard,
who is my number 5, who I just love so much. He's so old and slow and potters around and gets mildly annoyed at stupid hobbits. It's
I could see Treebeard like wearing a turtleneck.
He would. It's a great chapter in the book as well, because he does just take so long to do anything and say anything. And Merry and Pippin are just so confused all the time when he's around. But at the end of the day, he forges an army of Ents to go up and break the dam. Full, get Fangorn Forest back to its full glory. Defeat Saruman. Help defeat Saruman. Treebeard is the leader of the Ents. It might take him ridiculous amounts of time to actually get this done, but that's just hilarious to me. I think he's a great little bit of comic relief. And I know Tolkien wrote Treebeard as a reference to his own best friend, in like a jokey kind of, look at this moron, he's you kind of way. Look at this slow, old, grouchy tree beard. It's you. Have you ever noticed how like he does this sometimes with his naming? Like there'll be names of things that are so unbelievably elaborate and thoughtful, but Treebeard's just called Treebeard because he's a tree with a beard.
Tree with a beard? Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
I like Treebeard. He's funny. I like him in the movie. I like him even better in the book. Because he's just, you get more time with him. I think it's a really great chapter, right when everything's going kind of bad.
Yeah.
Right at the start of the Two Towers. This chapter of Merry and Pippin and Treebeard just adds a real levity to the situation. You forget about kind of all the bad things. And obviously he's also the one who Gandalf, newly formed Gandalf the White, originally comes to and says, "Oh no, the White Wizard's over here." Like, oh, is it Saruman? No, it's Gandalf the White.
Yeah.
So, yay for Treebeard. I like Treebeard a lot.
Okay, that was an interesting pick. I wasn't expecting that, which I guess I should have. But
But
once
he's also
hearing it, I'm
me,
like,
isn't he? He's
yeah,
also me.
essentially, yeah. Like once you said it, I was like, okay, this makes sense.
He's not, however, the character in this world who is the most like me. But we'll get onto that.
Yes. So my number 4 is another badass lady, Eowyn.
Eowyn, yes,
Yes.
we like Eowyn.
Yeah, I just love kind of what she's up against. She just wants to fight and protect people and you know, she's so strong, but everyone's kind of trying to just keep her down. I like that Aragorn, he's kind of the one person who um kind of doesn't dismiss her wanting to fight.
Yeah,
Her uncle is just kind of keeping her, trapped in this life of, being a maiden, and she wants more than that. And so just really being discouraged for most of the movie, and then being able to kind of step up and
and kill the Witch King of Angmar, huh?
yes, and be a total badass. So
Yes.
yes, just her kind of having to fight this fight of no one putting any faith in her because she's a woman, and nobody letting her do anything more than, be a prim proper maiden, like, and the way she kind of describes it, like being in a prison, and that she feels like she's going to just grow old never having really accomplished anything or really been able to fight the way she knows she can fight for her people and her kingdom and all of these things. So the fact that she kind of gets this secret moment where she kind of disguises herself, she has this like Mulan moment, you know.
She does. Yes, she does.
Yes, she has this epic Mulan moment where she just kind of charges out and saves the day, and then reveals herself and I am no man. She has a great like line too that's like, yeah, you know.
She does. She
So
does.
so
I cannot
so yes.
disagree with any
Love
of
it.
this.
Love it.
But what she also does is she guides Merry into battle as well, who would have definitely
Yeah.
died if she wasn't there.
They're protecting him. Yeah.
100%, because he didn't. He, wasn't uh, allowed to fight either. He was Hobbit. He had to stay behind and keep safe. But no, he
Yeah. And
wanted to
she
fight
grabs
as
him and
well.
says, you ride with me.
They
And
both
like,
go together.
yes. So great. So great.
So not
Love it.
only do you get the protectiveness of her, that's admirable, but you get the actual badassery of killing literally literally physically the most dangerous being in the entire Lord of the Rings. Physically, because
Yes. And
Sauron
she
isn't
does it.
physical.
Yeah. And she does it protecting her uncle who had no faith in her as well. So it's
Exactly.
like that
Shut up, Theoden.
sick burn right there. And also
As
just,
much as
yeah,
I
her
do
whole,
like Theoden
yeah,
I think he's a good ruler. I think he's a good king, Theoden.
yeah,
But he does put people down sometimes, and he
he
was
does.
corrupted.
He
So
was easily corrupted.
it very easily
Um,
corrupt. Well, Saruman's got a lot of power.
yeah, I suppose. Um, but also just, I can relate, high school Janine, was definitely one of those people who uh, had a lot to offer, they felt, but never had, the guys that she was crushing on crush her back. So I definitely
Oh,
get I definitely get her, feelings towards Aragorn and just, having this
yeah,
deep passion for him and him just like, sorry. But it wasn't because, it was only because he was in love with somebody else and not because of her who she
exactly.
was. So yes, I definitely felt a lot of, high school days, relatability
Okay,
with her whole kind
okay.
of love for Aragorn. So I'm glad she ultimately found love in the end. So,
Yes.
but yes, I definitely related to her kind of pained love feelings as well. So definitely a relatable character, a strong character, a badass character who got to have this cool arc and redemption, and yeah, some great moments with her.
Yeah.
So my number 4.
My number 4 is actually Aragorn. So I was
Okay.
gonna make a joke then, but it is actually Aragorn, and I know Aragorn might be a boring choice because he's the
It's kind of
archetypal
perfect.
hero of the entire
Yeah.
story, isn't he? But it
Well,
doesn't mean he's
he's
any
higher
less
up for me.
great.
So this is our first same
Oh,
person
I
because
see, I see, I see.
he is higher up for me on my list.
Okay, okay, okay. Who is your number three then?
My number 3 is Gandalf.
Oh, I have Gandalf higher, Janine.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay. My number three is Samwise Gamgee.
Okay, well, I have Sam higher.
Oh, so you're number two then. Oh, yes, you're number two then, Janine.
My number 2 is
Oh, you're number
Aragorn.
three. Is
My
your
number
number
3
three?
is Gandalf.
Oh, your
Yes.
number three is Gandalf. Yes, okay, Aragorn. Yes, my number four. Your number two, Aragorn.
Yes.
We like Aragorn. Aragorn's generally kind of great at
Yes,
everything.
I watched this channel called Cinema Therapy, and they use movies to kind of explain different issues in terms of what people go through emotionally, and so they kind of talk about Aragorn from the aspect of toxic masculinity and how he kind of subverts all of those expectations
He
about
does,
toxic
100%.
masculinity. Like, there's literally a whole scene where he decapitates an orc and then goes and kisses his comrade on the forehead. So, the fact that he's not afraid to show emotion, that he's not afraid to also be very strong and masculine, but he can also be very humbled and not afraid to show emotion and, compassion towards another man or, you know,
Yeah.
uh, so he definitely,
There's a great kind of, I suppose, gender theory of gender fluidity in movies and TV, as in portraying gender fluidity, not actually gender fluid people. So it's like a man who is displaying typical masculine traits and then going and displaying typically feminine traits and then going back and then going back and then going back and then just being almost
very,
stereotypically gender
yeah.
fluid in
Which
in
is just
in a movie.
showing kind of the construct of the that society has put on the term of gender and how
Yes,
gender is kind of a created stereotype, you
yeah,
know?
but
It's a constructed concept. It's not something that
no,
really wholly exists, It's
exactly.
just, um
It's a but it's an interesting theory to look at because Aragorn is the kind of person who you can definitely say is very his performance of gender is very fluid in Lord of the Rings because
yeah,
he's doing ridiculously masculine things and then being very protective and motherly to the hobbits
yeah,
and really emotional and really romantic and then leading people into battle and war, crying and stabbing and having a beard and all these things.
yeah,
He's but he flows between them really seamlessly. He's a fascinating character for that. He might come across as your archetypal hero, but there's way much more depth to Aragorn than just being I am the king and all this business. Because
yeah,
does he ever say that? He doesn't want to be the king. He just
no,
is. He
yeah,
has to be the king. That's the
yeah,
point. He doesn't want to be. He wants to be up north, looking at footprints or whatever the hell he was doing. You know,
yeah,
oh, this plant. It's
tracking, yeah,
hmm. Ooh, this I need this plant. It's got a good smell to it. It's fresh. It's only 6 weeks old. This you can use this to heal your wounds. He's a healer. He's a cook. He's a fighter.
yeah.
He's everything. He's absolutely everything, and he never does any of it wrong.
And, like, he's probably the best person to be king because he doesn't want to be king.
Yeah,
He doesn't want it for the power, he doesn't want it for the accolades. He only kind of wants it because he sees that he is a leader and he can lead people. And so he kind of is like, okay, well, I guess this is a platform to use what I can do well. So that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
But for
It is.
the whole entirety of his story, like he just doesn't want it. Um,
It's
but
just another example
you
of this
see him,
Tolkien
but he's
ideal.
proving to you, through these movies. He's telling you he doesn't want it, but he's proving to you why he's perfect to do it
Exactly.
and why he would make a great king. So every action that he does in this movie shows you that he is meant to be this king. He would make an amazing, worthy king, and then that is subverted by him constantly saying he doesn't want it, which I thought was very smart. So yeah, he's just a great character. The moment when you know, it's basically his coronation and he's bowing to the hobbits and says like you bow to no one and giving them the credit for everything that's happened, and the day being won, giving the credit to the hobbits and having, bowing to them is just such a beautiful moment that shows you just what a good person, how humble he is, and
Yeah.
how respectful he is to those around him, knowing what these hobbits did, and despite what people think of them, and uh, able to give others that, he did so many things that helped save the day, but he is giving, the credit to these people that no one saw, what they put into to winning the day. So
He
yeah.
is. He is 100% who we should all look up to for inspiration, and who
Yes.
sadly too few of us do. I
Yes.
think.
He broke his foot. I mean, commitment.
Let's not talk about the most known bit of movie
Poor
trivia
guy.
ever. Did you know that Viggo Mortensen broke his toe when he was kicking that one orc's head? Yes, everybody knows that. Everybody who's ever
I just
spoken
need to
knows that.
add. I just need to add to the commitment to that character. But like that wasn't a scripted thing. He just went to kick
I
it
know,
to
I
show
know.
the emotion for being worried about Merry and Pippin. And so to show how much he cared about them in that moment. And then it just turned out to be like, oh my foot,
No,
you
my
know.
foot's broke.
But like
That's
him just
definitely how
taking
Viggo
but him
Mortensen
just
talks as
generally,
well.
yeah, my fur, like, but him just taking that extra step to show that emotion in his performance,
Yeah.
just enhance the character. So, yeah, Aragorn,
Viggo Mortensen's just
my number
outstanding,
2.
obviously, as well as
Yes.
Aragorn, obviously. Aragorn is your number 2, which means my number 3 is your number 1. So your number 4 must be my number 2, which is Gandalf.
3. Gandalf is my number
Oh,
3.
your number 3.
Yes.
Gandalf. More specifically, Gandalf the Grey, because Gandalf the
Yeah.
White's a bit
Is more
too
serious.
perfect for me.
Yes.
He's a bit too, oh, I've come back now. I am Saruman as he
As
should
he
have
should have
been.
been. Yes. No,
I
I
am
wanted
absolutely perfect, and I'm not a grouchy, petty bitch
silly.
anymore, because
And
that's all Gandalf is. A lot of my love for Gandalf comes from Ian McKellen in The Lord of the Rings, obviously. And then in the Hobbit movies, Ian McKellen also did pretty great as Gandalf,
yeah.
again, obviously. And then I read The Hobbit, and my love for Gandalf went up so much because he's such a petty, horrible person in The Hobbit all the time. He's so helpful, but he gets so annoyed at the dwarfs constantly for just focusing on the completely wrong thing. And he just has to take himself off and go on walks, grumbling to himself,
Well,
going,
that's kind of how we
stupid
see
dwarves.
him. Yeah.
But so he goes for like days at a time. He's like, oh, where's Gandalf? I think we've lost Gandalf. We just have to keep going. And Gandalf
Well,
will come
that's
back
kind
and
of
go, I was
how
just
we see
taking a walk.
well, we see him kind of like that with Merry and Pippin, who he definitely is giving
He
that
is like that.
energy
Yes, yes.
to the two of them when they
He
are,
just gets.
complaining about food and goofing around and food
But
never cooked and all that.
this is my thing with him, is that he is an immortal being. He's not a human. He's not a wizard. He's a piece of matter who, in human form, is this ridiculously petty wizard
Yeah.
who is played perfectly by Ian McKellen. But book Gandalf, I just have a ridiculous amount of love for Gandalf the Grey, which obviously only exists in The Hobbit and The Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah.
But oh my god, I love Gandalf the Grey so much. I just think he has a love for living. He has a love for adventure, and I think he's quite similar to the Hobbits, really, which is why he's kind of looked down upon by Saruman. Oh, you and all that Hobbit pipe weed and all this business.
Yeah.
Like, you've been spending too much time in the Shire. No, I haven't been spending any time in the Shire at all. That's my impression of Gandalf. You Shall Not Pass, which is on my sign
Yes.
today, everybody, is just unbelievable as a showing of his focus, I think, and his determination to see things through, whether it affects him or not. This is why I find him hilarious in The Hobbit, because he's constantly getting so annoyed and so frustrated, and he just lashes out, and he just shouts at people in The Hobbit all the time. If you read The Hobbit,
most of us feel that way when somebody's being annoying, you know.
But he's just
I got shit to do.
Messing
Stop
around.
Yeah.
He saves them from the. He saves them from the trolls, you know, in The Hobbit.
Yeah.
It's Gandalf who's just like, stop messing around with the trolls. But he's also really, really obviously really wise, really just intelligent, but in a way that you can be endeared to, not in this kind of otherworldly sense that Galadriel is, that Saruman is, that Elrond is, I think, you know, not in that kind of way, in a very down-to-earth kind of way. But 100% the reason Gandalf's my number 2, and the reason my number 1 is my number 1 is pretty much down to the same thing, and it's the fact I actually read The Hobbit.
Okay.
So yeah, that's your number 3 and my number 2.
Yes.
So your number 1 is my number 3, which is Sam Gamgee.
Yes. I always hope to be even a fraction of the friend that Sam is. I love, you know, my friendships with my whole heart. I invest so much into them, and you know, I am a very devoted friend, as Dumbledore would say, a fierce friend.
Fierce friend. Yes, he would.
That is what I always strive
fierce
to
friend.
be.
No, that's Gandalf again. Hello.
But yes, so you know, my friendships mean a lot to me. I care a lot about the people in my life. So just to see that devotion to, you know, his friend and everything he would do for him, and it's a beautiful thing. Like
carrying him up the cracks of doom.
Yes. He, you know, fought a giant spider, and you know, carried the ring himself when he had to, and you know, even when it was like a big whole "I told you so" moment he could have had, he didn't hold that over Frodo's head. He just said,
"He's the perfect friend.
I'm here.
He
I'm here
never
for
left
you."
him.
I love that line. You know, I can't carry it, but I can carry you, and just, you know.
Yeah.
And at that point, he's probably exhausted and tired, but you know,
well, you'd think so. I mean, he's just had to fight Shelob and get him out of the tower in Mordor. They're actually in Mordor at that point.
Yes. So I just love how devoted he is to his friendship with Frodo, and
he's the only one, Jeannine. He's the only one. Well, he's not the only one, is he? Because Gandalf also sees this, but you get annoyed with Frodo for being such an idiot, for not seeing straight through Gollum all the time. But Sam, right from the get-go, is just like, this guy. I'm not willing to follow him. Who's this? Yes. No, we have to go with him. Why? Look at him. Oh, we have to go with him. Fine.
Yeah, I pity him.
I'm not happy about it. Okay. I'm not happy about it, Frodo.
But I'm going to do it because, you know, I respect you, Frodo. So yeah, just the prime example of an amazing friend, and as somebody who cares a lot about their friendships and strives to be a friend like that, like, it is beautiful to see all of the things that Sam endures to show his support for Frodo. And yeah,
But he's
so
also a pure hobbit who loves things that grow and loves eating and loves
yeah, so the fact that
lounging
he kind of
about.
ends the story, he did his adventure, and now he's content on living like a quiet, happy life, and
Yeah.
he did what he needed to do, and he stepped up when he needed to, and he kind of subverted the expectations of what a hobbit can be and what a hobbit can do, and um yeah, so just love Sam. He's an amazing character, and a testament to just Sean Astin be having this ability to play
Oh
lovable
yeah.
characters. Because every character Sean Astin has played has been a character that is like you care about and you feel for, and you just want to give a
Perfect
big hug.
casting.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, you've got to think that the casting in the Lord of the Rings movies to a T is
yeah.
perfect.
I mean, the
Absolutely
Mike
perfect.
I mean, Mike in the Goonies and Bob Newby and Rudy, like, he's someone you just always root for and
Yeah.
someone you always see kind of with this determination and this endearing hope, but he always plays these characters who believe in things, who, find hope in the direst of situations, who are just wholeheartedly good people, who are always there for their friends, so he always plays a character like that. I can't think of one character Sean Astin has ever played that wasn't like that. I mean,
Yeah.
even his goofy ass like see-through shirt wearing character in 51st Dates,
Oh
like
God, yeah.
cared so much about his sister, that he was willing to
Yeah, it's true.
go along with this ruse every day to protect her, and
It is true.
was very suspicious, rightfully so, of Adam Sandler, at the start. So yeah, Sean Astin always plays somebody who just always has this hope and belief and cares for people. So, you know, perfect casting for this character. And yeah,
Uh,
just love Sam as a friend, as a hobbit, and yeah, he's a great
yes.
character.
And if there is one thing, one thing Sean Astin's going to be remembered for, it is Sam. If there's only
Yes.
one thing, it
Yeah.
really is. Well, Jeannine, my number one is I would say before Sam Gamgee, there was this lovely gentleman who went against what everybody thought hobbits were capable of. Because my favourite Middle Earth character is 100% Bilbo
Bilbo
Baggins.
Baggins. Yeah.
And
I
again,
mean,
it's all down to reading The Hobbit.
I think it's all down to you just are obsessed with that Leonard Nimoy Bilbo Baggins song.
No, in no way
That's
at
what swayed
all.
you, wasn't it?
Absolutely not. Why? You've thrown me completely off. Thank you so much, Janine.
Have you seen that video of him singing the song?
I don't want
I think
to.
he's wearing a turtleneck. I think
Oh
he's wearing a
dear, of
white
course he
turtleneck, just
is.
like
Of course he is. White we would have to be, wouldn't he? Well done, Leonard Nimoy. No,
I'm sorry.
my real fondness for Bilbo Baggins comes from, again, actually reading The Hobbit and reading Lord of the Rings, and because he's obviously in the Fellowship of the Ring as well. Not necessarily from the movies. Now, Ian Holm in Lord of the Rings is good as Bilbo, as you know, as the older Bilbo. I don't think there's
He's
anything
always not
wrong.
he's not as endearing as I always kind of remember Bilbo being, because I grew up watching the cartoon. My brother was obsessed with the cartoon,
Ah,
and so
okay.
we would watch the Hobbit cartoon all the time with Bilbo, and so then kind of seeing this older version, he seemed very kind of selfish and,
Well,
you
yeah,
know
yeah, but
and I mean, you can
I
attribute
don't
that to
think
The Ring, but
that's
even then, it's still like even when he was saying nice things and talking about how, at first he only took Frodo in because, he had his reasons, whatever. But uh it was hard to really kind of see him as like a very endearing character like a Sam or even like a Frodo.
I don't think that is against what Bilbo Baggins is, though,
No,
because
I don't think it's against.
that is what Bilbo
Yeah,
Baggins is. And I
especially
think,
with The Ring kind of tainting him for most of
yeah.
that period of his life.
So I think Ian Holm is good in that,
Yeah.
but I was never drawn to Bilbo from Ian Holm's
Yes.
performance.
Same.
Martin Freeman then comes along in the Hobbit movies, And yes, okay, we get far more time with
Yeah.
Bilbo now. And yes, okay, we are slightly more endeared to him. He's our main character now. We like him. We enjoy Martin Freeman's performance. But honestly, reading The
In the
Hobbit
book,
is a totally
different
different
thing. Yeah.
Bilbo. Very similar, but you are just endeared to him so much. Because if you think Gandalf complains about the dwarves, you haven't met Bilbo Baggins yet,
Yeah.
who's constantly wondering what the hell's going on all the time, goes on this adventure off because he just feels like he has to, out of kind of hospitality reasons,
Yeah.
because he's so within himself. Bilbo Baggins is so unbelievably prim proper. He likes what he likes. He doesn't want anything to do with anybody else. He's perfectly happy sitting here smoking, thank you very much, and getting on with his day. He doesn't want any nonsense. And then he just gets chosen to have nonsense thrust upon him.
Yeah.
And he's really annoyed about it. About it all.
Yeah.
The most hilarious chapter, as you would imagine, is when all the dwarves show up.
Just show up. Yeah.
And he's so unbelievably flabbergasted about the entire situation. It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. And he's played far better in the book than it is in that
In the
movie.
movies. Okay.
But like I said, if you think, I don't know, it's the kind of character I just am so drawn to, because I just feel like they're just like me.
Ugh,
They don't
people are
want any
annoying.
fuss.
Leave me alone. I
It's
just want to live in
people
my
are not.
home.
It's the kind of characters that are very much, why you're not doing what I've asked you to do? Why you're being annoying? I don't want this. I'm doing this. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm doing this, so I'm going to do it right. And I'm trying to do it right. You're doing it wrong. What you're doing, I love you. I do love you. I promise I love you. I'll do anything for you. But God, you're the most annoying person in the entire world. And that's Bilbo Baggins.
Yes, that's very relatable.
Look at all this bother you've caused for me. Look at this dungeon I'm now in. Am I gonna save you from the elven dungeon in Mirkwood? Of course I am, but you've got us in here.
Yeah.
He's very selfish. He's very above everyone else in his own mind, but in his heart he isn't. In his mind he is idiots, but in his heart he's like, we're a team.
Yes.
You know?
I will help you because I care.
Which is why I
damn
think
it.
Gandalf loves him so much.
Because he sees
Because
some of
they're
himself
just
in
the
him.
same person.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love Bilbo Baggins. I really, really love Bilbo Baggins. I have never come across, like, I know I don't tend to be a massive reader or anything like that. You know, I read what I read and I enjoy what I read, but I don't read or watch things, for that matter, to see myself in them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're not looking for that.
I'm not looking for me. But in Bilbo Baggins, and reading The Hobbit last year, I genuinely found the character that I felt was the most like me I've ever come across in my entire life. In
More than
book
Treebeard?
Bilbo Baggins, more than Treebeard. We don't get enough of Treebeard, do we? But in Bilbo Baggins from the Hobbit book is the character that I have felt is the most like me out of any character I've ever come across in my entire life. And that's
Fair.
why Bilbo Baggins is my number one.
Okay.
I love him dearly. And yes, I also just want to go and sit in a hobbit hole somewhere with
be left alone.
to be left alone, eat some pie, and go to sleep in a chair. Maybe read a book. Maybe because it's, this world, watch a movie. And they don't have movies in the Shire. But what a peaceful existence he has. And then he goes and has his one adventure that he's so in love with for the rest of his life. He loves telling people about it. He's so proud of himself as well.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a really admirable trait, for me. It's a very, very admirable trait. He's very, very self-proud,
Yeah, I mean,
but
if you did
he's
something cool
very,
like
very
that that's
willing.
completely out of your realm, you would
Yeah,
wanna be gushing about it like that.
but he's very, very willing to be friendly to people and to help those he is journeying with. And you also get much more of him as an old man in the Fellowship of the Ring book,
Yeah.
like
Okay.
at Rivendell. You barely get him at Rivendell in the movie. Even
Yeah.
in the extended, you barely get him. There is like 2 or 3 solid length scenes in the book of Frodo and Bilbo literally just talking and talking and talking at parties in Rivendell.
Oh, okay.
And obviously Bilbo at that time is like old. Oh, he looks old because he's not got the ring anymore. So he
Yeah.
looks 111,
Yeah.
or 100. No, it won't even be 111 at that point, is there? Did you know that there's like, is it like 19 years difference or something? Like, it's not 19 years. It's some ridiculous number of years. 9 years? Is it 9 years between the first chapter and the second chapter of Lord of the Rings?
That
Between Bilbo's 111th birthday and him going, and Gandalf coming back to Frodo and saying, here's what the ring does,
does. Please get rid of it.
is about, I think, 9 years.
So he's
It's
just been on his little
years.
getaway trip for that long? Oh my goodness.
No, Gandalf's been researching for that long, and Frodo's
No, I
been.
mean Bilbo, because yeah, he just kind of took off
Oh
and
no, Bilbo went and lived in Rivendell,
yeah.
didn't he? That was his point, yeah. So he's old at that point. 120. But yeah,
Dang.
I love
No, I didn't
Bilbo.
even know that.
I'm a big Bilbo fan.
Okay.
Applause
All
for
right.
Bilbo Baggins. Applause for all characters, apart from Gollum. But Gollum's, to be fair, Gollum's an outstanding character. He's just nobody likes him. He's a
No, he's just
great
terrible.
character. You just
He's just
can't like
awful.
him.
Yes, I don't
He's
want him on my
nobody's
top
favorite. If it
list.
was best characters, then yes, he might
Yes,
actually be at
but
the
your
top.
favorite characters that you like personally. Yes. Well, yay, Bilbo. Yeah. I mean, I don't
Yay.
actually hate the Hobbit movies. I mean,
Neither
I
do
watched them
I.
and I kind of am obsessed with the Keeley and Taria love story. Like
I know you
that is
are, and
I
I
know.
don't know why, because it's
I
really
am.
weird.
It's real
It comes
because
out
it
of
was real.
nowhere
Because it was real. I mean, they can do
because
that.
it
Taria
was
was
real.
not even a book character, right? They just
Tario,
made
no,
her
had
up.
absolutely nothing to do with the Hobbit book at all.
I just think it's really cute.
Did Keeley say 2 words in the Hobbit book? No. Did most of the dwarves say 2 words in the
Well,
Hobbit book?
they
No.
to stretch that short story, that's like the shortest story, and they had to stretch it out into 3 films apparently. So
Well, they
they had
didn't,
to
though,
add.
did they?
They felt like they had to.
They felt like they had to. Yeah, we know Peter. We know
Yeah.
Peter Jackson. We know
Which
what you like to do.
too, I went to watch. So I watched The Hobbit. I went to watch The Desolation of Smaug, and HBO Max has The Hobbit, Unexpected Journey, and Battle of the Five Armies, but they don't have Desolation of Smaug. Like, what? How do you not have the middle movie in this
Oh,
trilogy, but you have the other 2?
that
What
doesn't
the hell?
make any sense at
Yes.
all.
So, screw you, HBO Max. That's so stupid. So stupid.
That
Why do
is
you have
that is stupid.
the 2 movies and not the one in the middle? So really,
That
I'm gonna
is
have to rent the one in the middle just to watch the trilogy.
really,
Yeah,
really
it was really
very, very
odd.
stupid. Um, well, Janine, is it time for some fun and games?
Yes, I think it is.
Fun and games time. It's time for fun and games. Janine, we're bringing it back to an old favourite in
Yes.
this 7-episode show that can't possibly have old favourites yet because it's too young.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
We are playing another round of 6 degrees of separation.
We are, and if it goes on too long, I'm just going to say, I can't do it, because I don't tend to be good at this sort of stuff. And
Yeah, it's
I
hard
was
thinking
quite
on your
thankful.
toes.
I was quite thankful our game last week was silly and we didn't score it, because I'd have probably lost in our game of, did Juice really do that?
Yeah.
But this, here is a 6 degrees game. 6 degrees of separation game. We've gone from Middle-earth actor to Middle-earth actor.
Yes.
We're not using Middle-earth movies.
No.
This is a rule. Because that would just be silly. There'd be one connection or some nonsense like that. We're actually using a specific number of connections. So we're giving each other real tests.
Minimum of 4 connections. Yes.
Okay. Jeannine, would you like to? If you don't know what 6 degrees of separation is, then you have to just try and go from an actor to another actor by connections of movies that they've been in with other actors. It'll be fairly straightforward after we've done the first one.
Yes.
Jeannine, would you like to answer first or ask first?
I will
We have
answer
3
first.
each. We have 3 each, I think.
Yes.
So, Jeannine, I would like, in 4 connections, please, or no fewer than 4 connections, please. Orlando Bloom to Martin Freeman.
Ooh. Okay.
Orlando is a city in Florida. That's where Disneyland is.
Ooh. Okay. Orlando Bloom to Martin Freeman.
Yes.
Ugh,
Not
and I can
Morgan
do it in
Freeman.
Martin Freeman. And I can do it in less.
Freeman.
I can do it in less than 4, but I need to. That's the hard
You
part.
do need to do it in 4, in no fewer than 4.
I could do it in 2. I could really do it in 2.
You can do it in 2. I know the exact ones you're going for, but I want no fewer than 4. Don't scream at me.
Orlando Bloom was in.
You can be a bit funny with it if you want, and go several movies in a franchise if you want to blast it out a little bit.
Orlando Bloom was in. I don't like. My brain is immediately trying to do pirates. Orlando Bloom was in Pirates of the Caribbean.
He was.
Curse of the Black Pearl.
To use its full title. Many people.
Yes, many people.
One of them being pausing.
Zoe Saldana.
Zoe Saldana.
Yeah, she's in that movie. Like 2 seconds.
Excuse
she was supposed to have
me.
a bigger role. She was
Zoe Saldana's in The Curse of the Black Pearl.
She is.
Where? No.
Yes.
Where?
She's the one who tells Jack, "You stole my boat," and she slaps him a bunch of times when he's like,
really?
Yes, because she was supposed to have a bigger part and they cut her out.
Okay. Didn't know that. Fair enough. I'll let you have it.
Yes. Zoe Saldana was in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
With
literally anybody. I mean, come on.
I know, again.
Name a Guardian of the Galaxy. It really doesn't matter. Go through several movies of a franchise. You just have to get the win.
I know. With Chris Pratt. And Chris Pratt was in Infinity War with Chris Evans. And Chris Evans was in Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
Yes.
With Martin Freeman.
Good Lord. Why did that take so long?
I don't know. Because I was like, wait.
What was your two?
No, it's not the Winter Soldier, right?
Oh, he's in one of them, isn't he? He's in Civil War, I think.
It's Civil War. Yeah. So that's why I was like, well, it's not Winter Soldier. It's the other one. So it's Captain America, Civil War. Yes.
Okay.
With Black
what was your two one?
Because I'm like, where's the one where Black Panther comes in? And I don't know why I thought it was Winter Soldier, but yes, Civil War.
What was your 2-1?
Orlando Bloom is in Pirates of the Caribbean with Bill Nighy, or Bill Nighy, and Bill Nighy is in Wild Target with Martin Freeman.
Yeah.
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 Yes.
All right. Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Right. Oh dear, this is going to go bad.
Okay. In No Less Than 4, Sean Astin to Orlando Bloom.
Sean Astin to Orlando Bloom in No Less Than 4. Ooh.
Well, was that your same connection you had that I did?
Well, no, I mean, I don't really come up with the connections for my own. I just know that they have them.
Okay. Well, I actually came up with. For me, I have to come up with the connections and see if it works.
Well, no, I don't finalize them. I just kind of figure out that that will definitely work given what those people have been.
Who's in those movies? Okay. Yeah. Well, for me, I have to like map it out and see if it can be done and see how many. And then I like to compare like how you figured it out.
Okay.
So I can
once you
say yours, I can. Well, no, we do things differently. It's fine. So I can go through like how I figured it out.
Sean Astin. Let's go Orlando Bloom. Let's go Goonies.
Okay.
Let's go Josh Brolin.
Okay.
Then let's go the MCU. So let's go Infinity War. Because he's Thanos.
Okay.
And then we're looking for Orlando Bloom. So we're obviously looking for Pirates of the Caribbean. So we're going from the MCU to Pirates of the Caribbean through... Who are we going through there? Ooh, who are we going through?
I pretty much just gave it to you.
Yeah, but I've forgotten now.
Okay. Good. Good.
We can't go through... Oh, can we go through Martin Freeman? Can't go through Martin Freeman. Well, yeah, no, I don't like that. I don't like going through Martin Freeman. We could go through Martin Freeman. Infinity War, Josh Brolin, and then with let's go Chris Evans, and let's go Civil War, and let's go Martin Freeman, and let's go was Martin Freeman, to not use Wild Target, was Martin Freeman one of those cameos in Shaun of the Dead? I feel like he was. So Bill Nighy can come from that, and then we can go to Pirates from that. So,
when they all meet their like counterparts.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that.
Okay, all right.
We can do that.
Fair.
I'm happy with that.
Nice
that was no fewer than 4.
Okay, mine would have been Sean Astin in Goonies to Kiki Kwan, who was in Everything Everywhere All at Once with Michelle Yeoh, who was in Tomorrow Never Dies with Jonathan Pryce, who was in Pirates of the Caribbean with Orlando Bloom.
Completely forgot Michelle Yeoh was in a Bond movie.
Yes.
To be perfectly honest.
Because I was like, how do I get Kiki Kwan, Michelle Yeoh? Oh yeah, she was in Tomorrow Never Dies with Jonathan Pryce, who was Elizabeth Swan's dad in the Pirates movies.
Here's one that will annoy you because it sounds very easy. In no fewer than 5 connections, I want Carl Urban to Cate Blanchett.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, because I mean, I could just say Thor.
You could just say one. Funny.
So that's why we have to put that little length of film on there. Carl Urban.
Aylmer.
Yeah. Was in Dread
He was.
with Lena Headey.
Yes.
Lena Headey was in Gossip.
Gossip.
Yes, a great teen thriller with
I'm sure many people.
yeah, I mean Kate Hudson's in that movie. James Marsden. Okay,
James Marsden's, I think, a useful person.
to jump around with. James Marsden was in.
Where to go from here?
I know. I'm stuck.
You're not stuck. You just haven't found your path.
James Marsden was in.
James Marsden has been it. James Marsbar, as I like to
James
call him.
Marsbar.
Well.
Yeah, that's
You should.
fun.
You should advertise Mars bars. Really, I think James Marsden. I think he'd be good at it.
James Marsden was in X-Men with Hugh Jackman.
Yes, he was. Looking for Kate Blanchett.
I know. I'm aware. I'm like trying to think of Kate Blanchett's.
Oh, you can do it easily now. You can do it easily now. You go back to that one glorious franchise that is the ever-loving one, and you can do it easily.
What?
From Hugh Jackman to Kate Blanchett? Yeah. Of course you can.
Yeah.
Of course you can.
You sure?
Think of what we were doing last week. Who's a weird god? Who's a weird god, and what was he in a movie with Hugh Jackman in?
Oh, Hugh Jackman was in Les Miserables with Russell Crowe.
He was.
What did Russell Crowe do with Kate Blanchett?
I'm not saying Russell Crowe did anything specifically with Kate Blanchett, but was Russell Crowe not just in a fourth movie?
Russell Crowe was in Thor: Love and Thunder with Chris Hemsworth, who was in Thor Ragnarok with Kate Blanchett.
Yes, a little push. A little
thank you.
push.
Appreciate
a little
it.
push.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Well done. I like that. Yes. I don't think we even score 6 degrees. This is the fun of the fun and games, isn't it? We can't score 6 degrees. This is just having fun. Okay.
All right, we're good. Sean Bean to Ian McKellen in no less than 4.
No less than 4. Okay, Sean Bean to Ian McKellen. Sean Bean. Movies Sean Bean has been in.
Many. I tried to do this in 5, but I couldn't.
Many movies. Ian McKellen. I have to go. I have to get to X-Men. I'm just gonna get to X-Men somehow, right? I'm just gonna get to X-Men. So from Sean Bean, do I go Bond with it? Do I go Bond with it? Might go Bond with it. Might go GoldenEye for Sean Bean.
Okay.
Might go GoldenEye. Tina Turner.
GoldenEye.
I like Tina Turner. Do I just go to Pierce Brosnan? How many Pierce Brosnan movies can I name? Oh, Ian McKellen I'm going to. Oh, enough. How many? No less than 4?
No less than 4.
No less than 4. Okay. So does GoldenEye count as 1? Can I go GoldenEye, Sean Bean, and GoldenEye? With Pierce Brosnan, who was in Mamma Mia.
Okay.
With Stellan Skarsgård.
Oh, okay.
Who was in Thor.
Okay.
With with Chris Hemsworth, who was in here's a wacky one for you, who was in Infinity War with Josh Brolin, who was in Deadpool 2 with James McAvoy for one little cameo scene.
No, yes, you and your cameos, you little cheeky cameos.
Who was in X-Men: Days of Future Past with Ian McKellen.
Wow. Okay. Impressed with your little cheaty cameos.
Yes.
Mine
cameos.
mine for that was Sean Bean was in National Treasure with Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage was, was in Spider-Man Into the...
Yes.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to change that at some point. So Sean Bean was in National Treasure with Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage was in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse with Liev Schreiber. Liev Schreiber was in X-Men Origins Wolverine with Hugh Jackman. And Hugh Jackman was in X-Men with Ian McKellen.
Okay.
I also ended with X-Men. Yeah.
Yes. You got to... If you're not ending with Lord of the Rings with Ian McKellen, you ended up ending with some Shakespeare thing, and that just gets tough at one point. You're throwing people like Derek Jacobi in there, and
oh goodness,
I don't know, somebody else. Anyway, it's my last one.
Yes, final one.
So in no less than 6 connections, Jeannine, you're ending with Ian McKellen.
Okay.
But you're starting with Ian Holm.
Oh shit.
Who is in really one other notable movie, other than really notable movie.
I mean, I can think of a couple.
Other than Lord of the... I say one really notable movie. We know where
you haven't seen this movie yet. You haven't seen this movie.
Probably not, no. It's me. There's a whole show on it. It's called Morgan Hasn't Seen. It airs on Wednesdays.
Ian to Ian?
Ian to Ian. Ian Holm to Ian McKellen. No less than 6. The MCU is so useful.
It is. It's very useful. Okay, so Ian Holm was in... Ian Holm was in The Fifth Element, so I'm not super obvious. With Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman was in... I might like to take myself too far away. I know. Was in...
Gary Oldman.
Okay, Gary Oldman was in Dracula with
Bram Stoker's Dracula specifically,
with,
Jeannine.
Yes, with Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves was in Toy Story 4.
I love it. I love it. I do.
With
someone.
I know. It was in Toy Story 4.
Someone from X-Men. No, we don't want to go to X-Men yet.
With Timothy Dalton. He's Mr.
Timothy
Dalton. He's Mr.
Of course
Prickle
he is. Of course he is. I forgot about that. Oh dear.
Timothy Dalton was in
Dalton.
Timothy Dalton was in Mr. Prickle Pants. Let's see. Timothy Dalton was in Hot Fuzz with...
A lot of this may be cut out for the audio.
I know all the thinking. I know all the long thinking. Was in Hot Fuzz with Simon Pegg.
Sure.
How do I get to Ian? Simon Pegg was in... Because I'm just trying to build up the amount of movies here. Um,
I think you'll have built them up by this point if you're going from
yeah,
Simon
because I
Pegg
think
to McKellen, so you're fine
yeah,
now.
so that's like
Just
5. This
finish your
next movie would be
connections.
5. Simon Pegg was in, I guess, Shaun of the Dead with Bill Nighy. And Bill Nighy was
Yes.
in Wild Target with Martin Freeman.
So many movies. What a
Well, you said
ridiculously
6. You said
That's-
6.
You've done about 9.
Okay. Yeah, you messed me up. Let's see.
How have I messed you up?
Okay, no, okay. So he's in Shaun of the Dead with Bill Nighy. Bill Nighy is in Pirates of the Caribbean with Zoe Saldana. Zoe Saldana is in
Zoe Saldana.
Infinity War with Josh Brolin.
I genuinely don't believe that you've pulled Zoe Saldana from
Josh
Pirates
Brolin,
of the
I'm just stealing yours. I'm stealing yours at this point, Josh Brolin.
Okay.
Deadpool 2. James McAvoy. Days of Future Past with Ian McKellen. Because I didn't want to be conventional with my immediate aliens or whatever, Ian Holm thing.
Yeah.
So I tried. And like 6 is a lot.
6 is a lot of connections. 6 is a lot of connections. I was just searching because 9 years that I said before is definitely not the
is it more than that or less than that?
Length of time that Frodo has the ring in the Shire. So now I'm just trying to figure it out.
Okay, well, you have one more you have to answer. And this last one is no less than 6.
Yeah. Oh, is it like maybe the Fellowship of the Ring? The entire book is. I don't know. I'm lost a bit. I'm focusing on the wrong thing, Jeannine.
You are.
Yes. What is my last one?
Yours is in no less than 6 movies. Carl Urban to Liv Tyler.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Liv Tyler. Right, so what's literally the other Liv? No, we can go Liv. No. Carl Urban, can I go every MCU I'm gonna do? I'm gonna scam this. I'm gonna absolutely scam this. Carl Urban to Liv Tyler. Right. Get ready for some MCU roundabouting.
Oh my god.
Everyone. Carl Urban in Thor Ragnarok with Chris Hemsworth in Thor Love and Thunder with Natalie Portman in Thor with who else is in Thor? Clark Gregg in The Avengers with Chris Evans in Captain America Civil War with William Hurt in The Incredible Hulk with Liv Tyler. That's called MCU roundabouting for everyone.
I knew that's what you were going to do. Well, I was a little more creative than that. I was a little more creative than that.
For absolutely
I could have done that too, but I was a little bit more creative.
I don't have the breadth of knowledge of you, Jeannine.
Mine is Carl Urban was in Star Trek with Zoe Saldana. Zoe Saldana was in
Pirates of the Caribbean. Oh no.
Was in the Death at a Funeral remake. With
the
James
Death at a Funeral remake.
Yes. With James Marsden. James Marsden was in X-Men with Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart was in Days of Future Past with James McAvoy. James McAvoy was in Glass with Bruce Willis, and Bruce Willis was in Armageddon with Liv Tyler.
Good. Yes, I like it. That is clever. Mine wasn't clever. Mine was scammy.
Yours was kind of lazy, but I appreciate it. I mean, that last one, I kind of just stole all the ones you used for the previous one.
Oh dear. Well, Jeannine, I think we've come to the end of another gloriously entertaining episode of
Yes.
Monday Madness with Bilbo Baggins and
Go
the
watch
Lady Galadriel.
Go watch the Leonard Nimoy music video.
I'm not watching that Leonard Nimoy music video at all.
The Bilbo Baggins song. You know you want to.
No,
I think he's
it's
wearing a
not
turtleneck and some bell-bottom
happening.
pants.
It is not happening, Jeannine. Anyway, there we go. Jeannine, we've had fun today.
We have.
On this Middle-earth episode of Monday Madness. This show, however, is not the only show you can find on the It's a Wonderful podcast feed or in its full glory video form that you might very well be watching now on the It's a Wonderful podcast YouTube channel. Is it?
No. We have Morgan Hasn't Seen every Wednesday, where I force Morgan to watch things he hasn't seen. And as he displayed here today, there are quite a few things he hasn't seen.
Yes.
We are still talking courtroom movies on Morgan Hasn't Seen. So we're having a good time with that. And of course, we have our main show every Friday. It's a Wonderful podcast where we give love to classic films. Me and Morgan are also talking some courtroom films over there, some classic ones with some big names. So check it out every Monday with Monday Madness, every Wednesday with Morgan Hasn't Seen, and every Friday with It's a Wonderful Podcast.
That is the It's a Wonderful podcast feed on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Castbox, Amazon Music, and everywhere else for Monday, Wednesday, and Friday stuff. But here on the YouTube channel, if you are watching, we not only have Monday Madness in its full glory video format every single week, we also have watch-alongs, we have live discussions, we have other fun videos on here as well. Subscribe, ding your notification bells on this YouTube channel, like the video, comment on all sorts of nonsense. What was your 6 degrees game? Do you have one for us? Did you figure out one that was more creative than anything I came up with? Probably. Because I can't do that game very well at all. So I just try and be funny with it and go to the most obvious possible thing. Yay me. But yes, please do that. And we also have the Patreon. Of course, It's a Wonderful Podcast on Patreon. That has been going across the bottom of the screen if you are watching, as well as the donation link that you can find in the description too. If you would like to join those things or give something at all, if you are feeling particularly generous, you can find us on Twitter at the show at It's a Wonderful One. Me at the Purple Dawn with a 3 instead of the E in there because, Jeannine.
3 is the magic number.
On Instagram at just the Purple Dawn. All your delightfully hobbitish stuff is where.
You can find me at Jeannine Devine _ on Twitter, Jeannine Devine on Instagram and TikTok. If you want to get any merch for any of our shows, you can find that at our new Teespring shop. We have some really cool designs over there. Our It's a Wonderful Podcast Spotlight design. We have our logo designs for all our shows, including Monday Madness. I've even added some fun Stranger Things designs, including my new Eddie Munson cross Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure design. So check that out at our T shop, teespring.com. It's a Wonderful Podcast. Just search that and you will find us there.
Yes, lovely. Well, Jeannine, I think there's only one thing left to do, and I think it's going to have to be an impression of Gandalf, but would you like me to do it?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if I can count as Gandalf, though.
I mean, the only Ian McKellen I can do is
we know what that is, don't we? Do it for everybody
Magneto.
now.
We are the future, Charles, not them. Okay, I'm done.
Yes.
I'm done.
Okay, well, I'm here to tell you today that it's been a lovely show. And 3, 2, 1. Bye.
Bye.